What up, and greetings. Okay, today I'm gonna do something slightly different. It's sort of a reflection on how the old guns went so far, instead of doing a card by card comparison as to what I predicted and how things turned out, which I know a lot of people are doing and I find it quite enjoyable myself, but I don't want to bore you with 45 minutes of me talking. Instead, it's gonna be a listing of the old gods in terms of playability and fun. So it's going to be two different lists. And of course, the placings are going to be different. The placings are very subjective. I know that maybe in terms of playability, I might be right. In terms of fun, everyone prefers different play styles. So this might not exactly bode with you. And if it doesn't, please let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite and which of the old gods you think will be the most playable going in future as well. I'm not just going to talk about right now, but possibly which of the old gods might be getting more powerful or less powerful as the next expansion hits. And in next year, this year is the year of Kraken, so next year meta, the old gods are still going to be there, and how the new cards might affect them. Okay, first let's talk playability or viability on the ladder right now and on the ladders going forward. So number one for me is Enzof, and that's the one that I believe that some of you will not agree with. Why I think Enzof is the stronger, maybe not right now, but will be going forward, is Blizzard has confirmed that they're not going to be releasing any more Cthulhu followers and any more Cthulhu cards in the next expansions, meaning that Cthulhu is strong right now, is possibly stronger than Enzof decks, but it's arguable, and there's more of them there. There's definitely more people playing Cthulhu decks, just because it's more accessible and it's easier to make those decks, and those decks answer the aggressive decks quite well. Some of them, at least, maybe not Cthulhu Druid, but when Cthulhu Warrior and Priest draws well and he starts healing for 10-20 with Bran, you might as well concede as a shaman, because there's no way. I think that Enzof is going to become more strong as new Death Rider cards are being played. Enzof is one of the old gods that I said might be played depending on what Death Rider cards are released. What I didn't realize that Enzof is actually viable with just the stuff that we had already. I mean, Paladin is playing Enzof with just Cairn and Sylvanas and Tyrion, and that's it. And it's perfectly viable if the other cards in the deck are doing their job. Reviving 3 such strong Death Rattle minions is enough. And Rogue is playing more of them, and then he revives the entire board of sometimes not so strong creatures. But those swing turns are just so strong, and unless they're immediately answered with something like Brawl or, Doomsayer or something like that, you're gonna lose the game after the ends of his play. That's why I think it's so strong, and I didn't predict it to this extent. I thought that it might be, second best, but I definitely didn't think that Enzof would be so strong. And I think going forward, he will only become stronger, definitely stronger than Cthulhu, because as I said, Cthulhu decks, I'm going to talk about it more when we get into the fun part, but Cthulhu decks are very straightforward. I think they're meant for new players. I know that Cthulhu Druid is a viable tournament decks, and some of these decks are viable for tournaments, but they're not exciting at all, I think, at least for my playstyle. So number 2 is Cthulhu. Cthulhu is strong, and Cthulhu is good. Cthulhu! But it's not going to become any stronger. The more the pool of cards becomes diluted with the next adventures and expansions coming out, there's going to be more answers to Cthulhu's followers. And if Cthulhu decks are going to be widespread, people are just going to switch to hyper-aggressive decks, which just kill Cthulhu decks before they can start healing up, or they can start answering the boards with big taunts and things like that. I don't think that Cthulhu as a card is amazing. I mean, it is fun to just ping for 45 after you killed his Cthulhu, or shuffled it back inside your deck with Entomb. But, everything is just so straightforward. It's +1/+1, and at the end of your turn, it's +1/+1 to your Cthulhu. That, for me, at least, it's not exactly interesting. It is definitely viable, and the decks are good, By no means I mean to say that they're bad, but not as strong as Enzov. Number 3 for me is Yoxaron. Yog is love, Yog is life. And Yog does do some crazy swings and is put in decks that usually have a lot of spells as a late game card that might kill you, but might totally win you the game. And it's probably not going to become stronger or weaker because his effect doesn't really matter as to what spells you even play. It only matters on the number of spells and sort of slightly on the board state and what point of the game he's played on, because sometimes he draws you a lot of cards. You don't want to be on fatigue at that point, you know what I mean? But I think that Yog is going to stay on its third spot and not going to move as much, to be honest. And it's a fun card. It's not a very reliable card, but for laddering purposes, it's good enough. I don't know if for tournament purposes it's good enough, but it's a card that provides endless amounts of just pure joy. And I'm looking forward to trying more decks with it in the future. And number 4, finally number 4, we have Yash Raj. And I do actually believe Yash Raj might be higher because we lost some cards such as Ancestor Skull that could work very well with Yash Raj, and now we only really have Astral Communion that can bring him out earlier, and things like Innervate and just ramping him out early, but it's not enough. I think I haven't had a good experience with Yash Raj apart from the Tavern Brawl where you had 10 mana straight away. Part of the reason is because I don't have a single Astral Communion. I don't really want to craft those cards just to play this deck, and it is fun, very fun, but it's not viable because it's not reliable. You cannot, draw into double Innovate Astral Communion every single game. It's just not going to happen, and because of that, I put him on number 4. All right, so let's get into the second part, which is which of the old gods is the most fun to play, or which one I enjoyed the most to play. And number 1 has to be Yoxaron, because Yoxaron Hope's End is just a card that, as I said in my reviews, is going to induce madness either to you or your opponent. And sometimes it does absolutely nothing when it keeps killing minions that are not on the board anymore, because the first minion that it killed was himself. And Yog just was made for Trollden, I think. The card was just arranged in correlation with Trollden to have endless amount of footage for his videos. I have so far played Yog Priest, Yog Mage, and some of Yog Hunter, Yog and Log. But in future, I just want to try with all the classes, and I will probably craft a golden one because this card is just so much fun. Even when you lose and you're like, okay, fuck it, let's just throw me on board because I've got nothing else in hand that can help me next turn. This guy will save you, and that's the thing about Yogi. You sometimes have to play other cards. If you want to win, you can't play him. If you're in a good position, you can't play Yog because he's not going to help you. But if you're in a desperate position and you throw him out there, it's probably not going to help. 60, maybe 65% of the time, maybe 70% of time, it's not going to save you. But this 30% of time, it's going to swing the game in such a glorious manner that you're going to be feeling so good. And that's why I think it's so powerful, because it's unreliable. I don't think that he's going to be getting any stronger for competitive purposes, but I don't really care. I'm going to play him, and I'm going to enjoy it more and more. Number 2 on my fun list is Enzov. And I know that people are like, how is he even fun? You play Death Rattle minions, so you let him die, and then you play Enzov. But the decks that use Enzov are really interesting for me because they're usually control type of decks. They use a lot of removal. Then they play those cards like Sylvanas. They try to get some value from it. Cards like Tyrion and Cairn, etc., or Rogue has quite a controlling style as well when he's playing Enzov. I love that stuff. And then you drop him, and then you basically do it all again. And sometimes you can do crazy stuff with it, like draw triple Enzov with Thistle Tea, and there's going to be only more crazy amounts of stuff with Enzov. So I'm really looking forward to trying more decks with it. I just saw Dane Hearthstone playing Druid deck with Enzov, It might be quite fun. I might try that today. And we'll see what more Death Rattle cards are coming in the upcoming expansions. There should be 2 adventures this year, if Blizzard keeps their word, which they sometimes do, sometimes they don't. Number 3 on the list is actually Yash Raj, because I don't like Cthulhu decks. I don't think that they're interesting. I played Cthulhu decks in the beginning, and I was like all happy about opening golden Cthulhu follower cards, 2 golden Klaxis, and 2 golden Scaram cultists. But Yash Raj, at least from the brawl there was, when you got 10 mana at beginning, and I actually had a chance to play him, he's fun. Okay, this card is fun. The animation where he pulls the card with the little eye sparkling, it just looks super awesome, and it feels epic when you're playing it. And I hope that there's gonna be some cards that enable me to play it outside of Druid and outside of Astral Communion cards, because I don't have those cards, and I don't want to necessarily just craft them to play Yash Raj. But in the future, and in the next 2 adventures, or maybe next year, in whatever year that might be, there might be more cards that enable the play of Yash Raj easier, and to put him on board and actually stick there for more than 1 turn. You know, you can discount him with Thorison and then throw a conceal on him, but who's actually gonna do that? Do you know what I mean? So Yash Raj, my number 3, and number 4 is Cthun. And I know that this expansion is sort of around Cthulhu, but I have not been enjoying playing Cthulhu decks. I think they're just straightforward, throwing vanilla minions on board that buff your Cthulhu, and I'm baffled by it, to be honest, because when Spider Tank was released as a free 4 and Dark Cultist before that, everyone was like, oh, it's a free 4 with an ability? How OP? And now there's a free 4 with the ability that's constantly triggered on every turn until you deal with the free 4. What? I mean, I know that I know that the decks are not overpowered. I know that they are counterable, but I just find them so boring, because you just drop a minion and it gives +2/+2, or it gives +1/+1, or if this and this happens, you get 10 heal or 10 armor. It's boring. There's nothing really happening. If you draw bad, you're gonna lose. If you draw well, you're gonna obliterate the opponent. There's nothing in between. There's nothing like nuance in between the plays and how you like outsmarting your opponent. I don't like it. It's too straightforward for me, and the amount of Cthulhu decks on the ladder makes it even more enjoyable, and it makes me want to play Cthulhu decks less than that, actually. So number 4 on my fun list is Cthulhu. I'm sorry, buddy. Cthulhu! But yeah, not fun to play. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my list. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my top 4 in terms of competitive play and in terms of fun play. Leave it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more Hearthstone and other stuff and of my face. Until I see you guys at the next one, bye. And take care!